I somewhat cleaned off my bench, which clean's relative, but that's because I'm starting a new project. I gotta get Zach's XL130 together, but I'll do that this weekend. The project I'm starting, why quasi cleaned off my bench, is because, ta-da, this little Echo cs-440. I'm gonna mod a bit. There's not a lot of info on YouTube on how to take these apart or anything. There's really not a lot of info at all on these. I mean, they must not have been Echo's prime saw, but like a lot of saws, people bought them, they sat on a shelf, and they're not a pro saw, but you know what? I like the size of it, so it's going to become a bit of a project. And one cool thing about this saw, I think it's cool, it's a clamshell design, but the cylinder comes off independently. It's you'll see when I get to that part in the video. Hopefully I get that far. But this video kind of serves two purposes, because if I go put this together and can't remember how, I'll have to look at my own video on how it came apart. Although there are parts diagrams on the internet. So start taking that off. Okay, where to start? Let's take them off. They're off. I know the piston's a little scored on this guy, but that just is what it is. I really don't know how this comes apart. Except for McCulloch Mac 15, which is a saw from the 60s, if you're not familiar with it. I have never actually been into a clamshell. I shouldn't say that. I've been to the little Homelight XLs, but I haven't been into a modern clamshell saw at all. Okay, muffler is off. Air filter will come off. My mess up here come off, then this, take that off, take the power lead off. You know, getting this throttle linkage back in after I changed the carb was a bit of a pain in the ass, and I'll have to do that all over again, but that's okay. Actually, while this is apart, I'm going to change the inlet for the fuel on the carburetor, because this one's at 90 degrees. It should actually be straight out, and there is a reason why I should change it back to the way it should be. Okay, now let's get the carburetor off. Carburetor and intake. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the saw. Not much info on the internet. I occasionally see these for sale on Marketplace, and people usually want a couple $100 for them. Are they worth it? I don't know. Probably. I don't think so. I think this is just like I said, one of the saws that people buy. They use a little bit, sits on a shelf in the garage, full of ethanol fuel, and then they wonder why it won't run after. Tough. Fuel off. Sit up here. Let's stuff a screw in the fuel line just so I remember which is which. Okay, where to go from here? Does this just pull out? Looks like that should just pull out. Maybe. See that? I don't know. That's this little baffle between the cylinder. Looks like it's just supposed to slide out. intake boots in there. I don't want to wreck the intake boot. Okay, so that actually just pivots in there. So I put it back together. That should just... No. I have a feeling it's going to be a complete pain in the ass to put back together. But it is what it is. So, get the side cover off. So one thing about Echo, the fasteners seem to be all over the place. Some things are Allen key, some things are Phillips. So this will be a good chance to get this thing good clean too, because it's kind of filthy. I mean, I might gonna post the entire video of me taking this apart, I think, but at the end of the day, I think I might condense it for a shorter version, because this could be kind of long-winded. Or I'll just do it in parts. There's that. That stuff goes all over there into those slots. That's more for me than you guys. And you just pop the coil out of there now. That's probably metric. That's probably the one that I'm missing for whatever reason. That one work. Of course it is. Of course that's the one. Oh, there it is. There's the one I'm missing. Can't even find shit on my own bench. Okay, the coil out of the way. I'm really hoping this is a very, very simple design. Kind of looking that way though. I don't think it'll be too bad as long as I remember how it goes back together. But like I said, there are IPLs online for it. And I can reference my own video. I hate the caps on this saw. Like, oh, especially this oil cap. Like, it's just not a good design. Okay. There's that, and that one goes back in. It's interesting. Okay, coil is off. Air shroud thingamadoober. Now, where are we now? Gas poured on me from somewhere. Let's get this intake manifold off because that can come off right now. Screw is gone. Fish that other screw out of there before it disappears. Try to keep everything with the parts it's supposed to be with. Just looks like that manifold and this intake boot go both ways. It looks like it's in relatively good shape. It's good, because I wouldn't know. One thing I did notice about Echo saws, like you can get brand new short block for these things, but holy crap, are they expensive? Like it's basically to the point where just garbage is the saw. Let's take a look on the intake side. Intake side looks perfect, which is good, which means all that scoring is just carbon scoring. I'm really not familiar with clamshell saws, so one thing I don't know is, so I can get to the Allen head bolts that hold the engine assembly in, but don't know if you take the clutch off, screw. I'll pause you guys so you can not see my. So I'm back. I didn't record again to get the clutch off, and I'm glad it wasn't recording because, you know, I have several tools, ones that I built and stuff for taking off home light clutches. So I think I've got like 3 different ones I built for that. Got this one that works for the Chinese saws and probably some other ones, and then Husqvarna's got right. The Husqvarna's I have just put a 3/4 inch socket on them because I already have the socket on them, but this one nothing really works, so I just kind of had to make it up as I go. Everybody changes to 3/8. It's a tiny little sprocket. It's a like little baby sprocket. Holy crap! It's tiny. That's small as slide off my chair. Okay, so at least they do have a new sprocket for it. Well, this one looks not bad, so I will leave the sprocket that's on it. Take all this stuff off. That looks like it comes out too. I'm not quite sure what drives the oil pump on this guy, but and that is the oil pump. Now let's take the oil pump off, because it probably has to come off anyways. Brass screw. Huh? Those aren't. I thought they were brass screws for a second. They're just cadmium coated. Comes from the oil tank that goes to the oiler. That should just pop out, really. I don't see why it would not. Well, that's not good. I don't like forcing things, but this is kind of. Oh, there are little tabs there. Oh, I don't want to fuck this up. I do know this is going to have to come off. That I do know. Oh, that's a stupid design. Am I missing something here? And pause you guys again here. So yeah, I don't know how to get that oil pump off, so I'm just gonna start taking my shit apart here because get this handle out of the way. So I'll probably need all the way to take the cylinder out, or the rotating assembly. Up here. Got Space Truckin' by Deep Purple stuck in my head all day. Come on, Space Truckin'. I don't know if any of you have most new vehicles with the Android. If you use Android Auto, I guess the same with Apple AskPlay or whatever they call it. Android Auto, and you get YouTube Music. You get premium YouTube. You get YouTube Music. YouTube Music's fucking awesome. Listen to whatever you want and when you want. Like, it's quite a fantastic service. Okay, so that is out of the way. What to do next? So those are probably the same. Let's start. Oh, Jesus. So I'm assuming these bolts right here are the ones that connect the rotating assembly to the plastic. Although I'm hoping there's... Fuck. I really gotta invest in a magnet one day. I'll get that out after. There too. Multitask. I really can't figure out how that oil pump comes out, so I'm hoping once I take all these bolts out, I can just slide the assembly out this way, maybe. Maybe not. And it's gonna get a good bath too. Be like a brand new saw after. Kinda, sorta, not really, but I'm hoping it'll be more gooder once I'm done. Oh, jeez. The wife hates that word, gooder, but yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna call this the end of part 1. It's already 60 minutes long, so we'll continue after. Okay, so I got all the screws out. This is obviously loose. I still don't know what the hell is holding that oil pump on. Maybe a little wrap. Find something soft to tap it against. Sock. Really don't want to lose those guys. That I do know. Oh, what the heck? There's no snap ring or anything in there. I just don't know what the hell is holding that guy on. Let's go with this side, I guess. Okay, what was that and that? I'd go with the clutch, I guess. So, okay. There's the rotating assembly. Okay, that's... Okay, I have to remember how this goes together. That's... Okay, this goes on like so. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a good bath. Anyways, I got the rotating assembly out. Ta-da! But yeah, you can see the scoring in the piston there on the exhaust side. That's just carbon scoring. As long as the rings are free, pretty sure it'll be alright. Fucking filthy. Dirty, dirty. I was gonna clean this up and then bring you guys back. Okay, we are back. So cleaned it up a bit. So as you can see, it is obviously a clamshell saw, right? But you can also see there's a gasket right here, which means the cylinder will pop off, which I kind of like that because that makes my life easier. So I'm actually gonna try not to separate the bottom clam, but bottom clam. We'll see what happens. Oh, jeez, jeevers. I've used this tool so much. This came with one of the Chinese, a few of the Chinese clones actually have the same tool. A few of them kicking around. They're quite handy for. I'm not so familiar with modern saws, but I do know they do share some common fasteners, which I cannot complain about. This went better than I thought it would taking this apart. I mean, there's obviously some hiccups, but nothing too terrible, which I'm glad. I do really need to get myself a cordless screwdriver or something for doing this stuff. I wish I had new crank seals just for the hell of it, although I don't see any reason to put new crank seals in it. Okay. Okay, well, this is just gonna happen. I thought there'd be more sealant on that, but I guess not. Okay, that's gotta come apart then, Genteel like. Boom, cylinder. It's a closed port. That's surprising. That is surprising, actually. Who would have thunk it? I didn't think it. But yeah, this piston. So that top landing, that carbon scoring's kind of trapped the ring in. I can fix that, but yeah, I'm gonna fix that. But okay, set that right there. Now the cylinder. Down near the bottom there, that might just be, that's just a little bit of transfer on the bottom, but above the exhaust port, it feels nice and smooth. So that's a huge bonus. But yeah, this thing's closed port. Those ports are so tiny in there. They're like micro ports. I don't know if you can see that. There's tiny little ports in there. There's like, I mean, compared to something, I don't have anything bigger here right now. But that's interesting. Closed port saw. Anyways, let's get onto this guy right here, because see if I can coax that ring out of there. Okay. I'm wondering if by some miracle yeah, look at that. This is a 43mm ring from one of the Chinese saws, and that will fit. And both of them will fit, so I'm going to replace both rings while I'm in here, because might as well, right? That's the way I see it. So yeah, they're same thickness, same everything. That's awesome. That's almost too good to be true. Okay, so I gotta go upstairs and wash my hands. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I am very short on shop towels, so I'm going to be very sparing with these guys. So I'll get that ring off. Okay, what do we got here? Yeah, the scoring isn't that bad, really. It's just the landing slightly, ever so slightly collapsed. The ring came out no problem, so it wasn't like jammed in there, but it's gonna need a little bit of attention here. I just don't want to bore you guys with me cleaning up the rings, so